Mercy, luxurious, Heat Nation, yeah, Mercy and Lago, down to Biscayne, yay, 5 on the floor, ride for my dogs, where here's the thing, you can check the score, hustle hard, couple scars, wearing bubble frogs, down to Biscayne. Kept the floor playing, got it all banned. Y'all seen the block, stop with one hand. And Pat we trust, Inspire have the guts. We're here to bring the heat, y'all can hang it up.
Welcome to 5 on the Floor, a daily insider show on the Miami Heat and the NBA, featuring Ethan Skolnick, Greg Sylvander, Alex Toledo, Brady Hawk, and others from the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Also make sure to subscribe to Off the Floor for the most heat anywhere.
All right, welcome back to 5 on the Floor. Here's today's floor plan. We've been tarried again. And I want to put a positive spin on this. I really do. I'm a positive person by nature. I think. Most people think so. I want to talk about the fact that an undermanned Heat team, I even wore the We Have Enough shirt tonight. We have that still in our store. We don't really promote our store anymore, but I put this on. I may have been the problem, actually, by putting this on. But I really wanted to celebrate, what the Miami Heat did. This was very there was no Jordan on the other side, but there was a Donovan Mitchell. This was very Rex Chapman, undermanned team against the best team in the league. The Cavs are 50. They came in 51-10. And the Heat go up there undermanned. Everybody's sitting. Most people didn't even make the flight. Davion Mitchell wasn't even really supposed to play. No Tyler Hero. No Andrew Wiggins. And you're up. But we knew they'd lose. And we knew they'd lose for a couple of reasons here. First reason is that they blow leads. We know this. This has been a consistent pattern the entire year. They can't get a hold of things when it starts to get away from them. And the other reason is that they have Terry Rozier. And I really don't want to pile on. We've been trying not to pile on. I think we've all acknowledged that we were wrong about this trade, just as the Heat were wrong about this trade. Seems like a nice guy, wanted to be in Miami, idolized Dwayne Wade. It's been, an utmost disaster. He has not complained about things. I give him credit for the way he's handled this as a human being, but he's just been bad this year. And he played 40 minutes tonight, Greg. He played 40 minutes, and there was some shots at the end of the game that I have not seen in junior high games. I don't really know what he was going for in some of these situations. He gets the ball back. He jacks it up again right away.
That possession in particular, where he took the 2 threes, can just drive me insane. And then late, all of a sudden, they're making a substitution, and it looks like Duncan's coming in the game. And Davion Mitchell's coming in the game. And he comes in for Duncan Robinson. And I think that they had the ball at that moment. There was some stuff down the stretch of this game that it sucks, because I was going to come on here and start screaming about Bam. And when we get to the player of the game segment, that obviously could be him, right? But it's just hard to understand how Terry Rozier could play 40 minutes. And ultimately in this game that's this close on the road, 4 turnovers, 3 of 14 shooting. I don't understand how he could lead the team in minutes.
I don't either. And I was getting texts, Alex, from Heat fan friends in the media. Why is he still in the game? Why didn't he come out at the end? Let me go through the minute counts tonight. We'll get to the player of the game on the Heat side, because I do think someone deserves mention. So we're actually going to give somebody on the Heat credit tonight. Here's the minute counts tonight. Terry Rozier played 40. Bam Adebayo played 38. Nobody else played 30. Terry Rozier, other than Bam Adebayo, played 11 more minutes than anyone else. That next player was Duncan Robinson with 29. Haywood Highsmith with 27. Davion Mitchell and Kyle Anderson with 26. Kyle Anderson, by the way, 11 rebounds and 7 assists. Gave them good minutes tonight.
He was great.
25 minutes for Alec Burks. 16 minutes for K-Love back in his old hometown. Gave you 10 and 6. Not his old hometown, but his own stopping grounds. Pelle Larsson played 12. They had a bunch of G League guys that they brought in, but none of them played. Keshad Johnson, Isaiah Stevens, Josh Christopher. Tyler Hero was not available. He was a scratch during the day. And Wiggins, Jovic, Jaquez didn't make the trip. Rozier's numbers tonight: 3 of 14, 1 of 8 from 3, 12 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists. What should we be talking about more tonight, Alex? The fact that this undermanned team gave Cleveland such a scare, or the fact that the same sort of decision making from Erik Spoelstra that we've seen a lot of this year, like, clearly led to the loss at the end?
Yeah, I mean, both things are true, for sure. I don't know how to pick between those two things because I was very impressed with the game. The fact that, without all the guys they're missing, not with Tyler by itself, right? Like, that's already a huge blow to their offense, is an offense that is already not good. But then you talk about Wiggins, Ware, Jovic, Jaquez, like just so many guys that are pivotal to what they do, right? And to be able to do this against, the best team in the conference on their home court, right? It was very impressive. I was not expecting them to be able to keep up for that long, especially because at some point it looked like, okay, the Cavs are going to start hitting threes. They're going to make a run at some point and the game's going to be over. And that didn't really happen. The Heat stayed with them throughout the whole game, even with, Terry playing all that many minutes. So yeah, very, very impressive there. I got to give them credit for that because I absolutely did not see that coming, them being able to hold on for so long. But yeah, for sure. Like, I don't understand why Terry played that many minutes. I understand that, like, without Tyler and all the other guys I mentioned, that he probably wanted another guy who could, like, get into the paint and just create his own shot. For as much as I haven't been a fan of what Terry has done, he probably just wanted another guy who can dribble, and Terry can do that, right? Terry can dribble and theoretically create shots. Whether they're good ones or not, right, is another question. But I think that was the theory of having him out there. I just don't understand why he was out there for so long and why he brought him back out there to close. He, like you mentioned, the shooting numbers were not good. It's not like he was having a great passing game. Like, he had a solid game last game against the Wizards. Of course, it's the Wizards, right? But it's not like he was having that type of game where, like, he was fine. He was decent. Tonight, it was the bad shooting. He also had 4 turnovers, right? A negative assist to turnover ratio. And even though, like, I think he's been competing a little bit more on defense as of late, he's still a negative out there. Like, I don't understand why they went back to him there. They were clearly, like, getting a lot more offense, in my opinion, out of all the actions that they run with Duncan and Bam on or off ball. They have a plethora of pet actions that they go to when they're both on the court. And I thought that was creating a lot more looks and overreactions. And I understand maybe, maybe they don't help off of Terry because they think he's a shooter. I don't really think that's solid reasoning for playing him that much. Like, he had a 37 true shooting percentage tonight, which is god awful. And the Heat's defensive rating was 25 points per 100 possessions worse when he was on the floor tonight. There's not much reasoning as to why he played that many more minutes than everybody else.
And the fans are going to get upset because I just saw something come across from our guy Naveen Ganglani that nobody asked Spoelstra about Rozier in the postgame press conference. So I know this is going to be an issue again. As someone who used to do this every game, okay, and covered Spo from his first season as a head coach in 2008, pretty much all the way through until I stopped covering road games about 5-6 years ago. You're not going to get anything out of him. You're just not. I'm not saying that the question shouldn't be asked. I understand people's frustration with it, but he's going to say we believe in him. We know what some of the Spoisms are going to be after a game like that, and in a lot of cases, the local reporters aren't even there in time sometimes to get these questions off. So I'm not going to blame the media for this, for that reason. That it's not. Look, at this point, like, social media has become such a thing, okay, that I actually believe that social media uproar has more effect on coaches around the NBA than direct questions asked. Now, I know some people may disagree with me on that. It's not to mean that you never ask the question, but I just don't think it changes what people do that much. This idea of shouting at the coach until he kicks the player out of the game, it doesn't really work. And particularly with this coach who has really nothing to fear as far as his job security ever. It's going to be based on his belief in a player. And we've talked about this before, that his belief is if you keep going at it, you'll get out of it. You'll get out of the funk. That's his thing. And I've told these stories before about him saying he made a mistake by telling someone to stop shooting early in his career. He's not going to
really
do
quick. Is it kind of like that widely used meme of kind of the miner going through the caves and then he kind of stops just short of the diamonds? You think that's like what Spo is doing with Terry?
It kind of feels like it. I don't look. He has to know the numbers.
I don't know if the diamonds are on the other side though.
I don't think they are.
No.
He has to know the numbers, right? Like that. That's the thing. Like they have analytics.
The advanced stuff is even worse than the counting stats, you know?
Right. Like there's literally nothing. There's no eye test. There's no stat. There's nothing at this point. There's not even like pump his value for a trade stuff, because the only thing that's going to do that is him being an expiring contract, and even that is still going to be a tough sell. There's nothing. There's no reason. And you could say, well, they were shorthanded tonight. Yes, they didn't have Tyler. I get it. Could have played Mitchell more. Okay. Also could have played Larson more. Could have played Burks even a little more. Could have played Stevens. Could have played Christopher. I mean, you have them developing in the G League for a reason. I know we got guys like Sean Rochester saying, well, playing G League guys
in Cleveland.
But maybe it's just Rozier needs to play less. I think we can all acknowledge tonight 100%. He probably had to play minutes because they were so shorthanded. I call these games skeleton crew games, like you talk about the Rex Chapman game, stuff like that. Right. This was one of those games. So Terry was going to play, and Spo ultimately would probably glare at the person who asked the question and say, did you see how shorthanded we were? But to that point, you could shave off 12 minutes, for sure. Maybe 14 minutes.
He closed with him over the guy that he's been playing 35 minutes a night since he acquired him.
Right. Now the only thing on that,
run.
Well, no, that's true. And I get that, and we do need to get to some of our regular segments here, but I understand that part. I think that maybe the thought on Mitchell might be he's coming off a quad injury. He was questionable for tonight. You don't want to push him too much. It's kind of like what happened with Ware. People were upset about him not playing Ware at stages late in, the Knick game, and then he ended up right, and then he got when what's his name, Mitchell on the Knicks took him out, right, Mitchell Robinson, and it turns out he's not playing still because of the injury. So it wasn't just that Spo didn't want to play him down the stretch. In fact, he put him out there for a couple minutes down the stretch of that game. And I don't know if that contributed to him being out longer. So I that part of it I kind of get, but it's not like he has nobody else to play. That's my point. Like I'm not saying that you had to push Mitchell 40 minutes tonight, but you could have played Larson more, could have played Burks more. And again, if you're going to have these G League guys and you're developing them, then what the hell? Like the minutes can't be worse. That's kind of where I come down to it. And I know Rozier, like his tops, I've always said this. We've cited this. His top stats are always against Cleveland. He's from the area. He always has his best numbers there. But this Terry Rozier that we've seen this year is not the Terry Rozier we were promised. Okay, this is not a player you can trust with 40 minutes in a game. You just can't. 15 to 20 tonight. It would have been fine, maybe 25 as a starter, but too much. Anyway, let's go to the player of the night. Other than that. And now it's time for the A-Aggressive Insurance Player of the Night, sponsored by our friend Lynette. You can find her at insurancebylynette.com. That's with 2 N's and 2 T's, insurancebylynette.com. If you need car insurance, renter's insurance, homeowner's insurance, or any other type of insurance, she's the person to go to. Based in Lauderhill, she services the entire Tri-County area here in South Florida, and she will make sure to get you the best deal. She'll probably talk to you about the Heat while you're at it. Reach out to her, insurancebylynette.com. And now, the player of the game. Or the player of the game on the Heat side was Bam Adebayo. He was tremendous. 34 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, 11 of 18 from the field. There were some players, obviously, on Cleveland that contributed. Donovan Mitchell, 26 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. But Bam was great. He's been great. And in a lot of these games of late, it hasn't been enough. Again, they didn't have Tyler for help tonight. But again, you asked Bam to play a star-level game against a really good team. And he did that. So we'll give him credit for that. All right, we're going to move on to the next. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Greg.
I just want to say that Evan Mobley is still Lil Bro to Bam Adebayo. So just make sure that we're clear about that. Now we can go on.
Yeah. Now we can go on. All right, let's go to the player.
That's it. That's it for the Bam talk. After this is the people begging for. That's it. That's all we're gonna give them.
We can do a full pod on Bam tomorrow, but I'm so exhausted by the whole Rozier thing.
Great game for him, by the way, doing that against that front court in Cleveland. What segment we're going to?
Let's go to the play of the night.
And now it's time for the X-Ray of the Play of the Day, brought to us by our friends over at Mobile C-Arm and Staffing Services. Nelson and his team will bring the X-ray equipment and the staffing to you. If you work in a hospital or a medical office, get a consultation today at c-armandstaffing.com or give them a call at 561-891-9620. Their fleet of trucks at your service. Again, it's Mobile C-Arm and Staffing Services, 561-891-9620. And now, the X-Ray of the Play of the Day.
So we have to talk Rozier stuff again, or we talk more Bam?
Up a three. He gets his own rebound. He airballs another three. I mean, what else?
I don't know.
Kyle Anderson was good, though. We should Slow-Mo needs to get at least a little bit of shine. He had a really nice read to Haywood Highsmith, who cut to the basket late in that game, and I thought that was. I haven't watched Kyle Anderson a ton, and he's been a pleasant surprise in the limited minutes.
That's all I got. Want to go to defending the house? Let's go to defending the house.
And now it's time for our Defending the House segment, sponsored by our friends over at The Real Estate Shop. You can find them at realestateshopfl.com. That's with 2 P's and an E, realestateshopfl.com, or at the Fort Lauderdale Realtor on Instagram. This is Javier Iglesias and Amanda Martin. They help buyers and sellers in real estate. They're nimble and protective of their clients. They service the entire Tri-County area. That's Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties with a proven on-market strategy. The Real Estate Shop sellers earn the most money in the shortest time frame because Amanda and Javier have a deep understanding of the local market. So check them out. Again, it's at the Fort Lauderdale Realtor on Instagram, realestateshopfl.com, or give them a call at 954-268-9812. And now, who defended the house?
Well, we talked about Kyle Anderson. You got somebody, Greg?
No, I think Alex has somebody.
Well, look, I wasn't really going to talk about anybody in particular. I just wanted to give them credit for defending much better in the second half than they did in the first, because I think they actually could have won this game. Not that I think like they needed to. Like, I feel like I've made it clear that I don't think it's the worst thing if they get their pick this year. So I don't think it's the worst thing in the world that they didn't win this game. But I think if they would have tightened up in the first few minutes of that game, like, I think they actually could have won this game, not to mention everything that happened down the stretch. But just to say, like, that the defense in the first few minutes of the game were terrible. And I thought Davion had maybe his worst stretch in the Heat uniform in those first few minutes. I mean, he obviously ended up turning it around and had a nice game. But their perimeter defense was nowhere to be found early on in the first quarter. And I think they started turning up towards the end of the second quarter. And then it really turned up in the second half. They held them to, the defensive rating was the Cavs offensive rating was about 15 points lower in the second half than it was in the first. And that's even with them hitting more threes. But honestly, the other thing I wanted to talk about with defending the house was the zone usage. I thought that was so weird tonight. Like, we obviously see a lot of zone, over the past few seasons, and they've gotten back into it after doing some man stuff after the trade. They've gone back to their zone habits and gone back to using it a lot. I liked it better when it was a little counter that they would go to for stretches and then go away from. And then maybe if it's, you're having a really great night with the zone, you close with it. I don't understand why he leaned into it so much tonight. The Cavs really, were stretching you out with the zone. I thought they kept getting great looks, like DeAndre Hunter in the middle of the zone. How many times for years have we seen DeAndre Hunter, kill the Heat from that same spot at the free throw line? Sometimes, in years past, it's been, when he gets hero switched onto him and he takes a shot right over him. This time he just, got in a sweet spot right there in the middle of the zone. And if the big rotated, he would find, he would hit the big, or he would hit the shooter, or he would hit the shot in the paint if the big didn't rotate. Like, they just kept going to that. Like, DeAndre Hunter was great against the zone, but it wasn't just him. They were picking apart the zone. Like, the Cavs ball movement after seeing it for so long. Bam spoke about this the other day when I asked him about it. Like, he said that when a team sees the zone for so long, they tend to get used to it. And he said that about, like, worse teams than this. We're talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers, right? Like, this is the team with the best record in the East, has been such a dominant team. And then you've got, like, this leaning into the zone thing after they keep picking you apart and after they started hitting threes, right? Like, I just didn't understand, on top of the Terry stuff, the way that they kind of went back to the zone. When I thought the man, like I mentioned, after the defense picked up, I thought their man was much better tonight. And it kind of relates back to what we were talking about with Terry, because I think if they would have had Davion in there instead of Terry and played man, even with the way that they started that game, I think they could have won.
It was the third game in 4 nights for Cleveland. So I feel like you didn't need to be laying back in zone as much. I know that you're shorthanded, but there could have been different minute distribution. So I'm with Alex. I think a little bit less zone, a little bit less Terry, and the Heat could have got this game, and we would have had a really, this could have been arguably their best victory of the season had they held on, frankly.
We were losing guys like backdoor in the zone too early on in the game. Like, I just thought it was a sloppy zone game. Not sure why they went back to it there at the end.
Cleveland clinched a playoff spot tonight, and the Heat are where they are. So on we go.
That's kind of sad, actually. Good for Max Strus. He'll be heading to the playoffs again.
He was the other zone buster.
He was pretty good at that too. All right, that's all I got tonight. I'm sorry, I just got exhausted by this game. Thanks to our sponsors. We'll be back with actual analysis tomorrow.
So much better than that Wizards game, though.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the 5 on the Floor on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. After all, someone needs to listen to my dad.